29th, right? May 29th. Oh my goodness, it's the end of May. And it's almost June, and today is hopefully my last day. If we get all of our cleaning done today, we are done. And so this is very exciting, and it's a weird day. Yesterday was absolutely gorgeous. We had sunshine, we had a carnival at the school, kind of like a field day, and the kids had a blast. Since we have a school that is all ages, 12 down to little ones, we have a unique opportunity to utilize all of those ages. So the older kids, they kind of like worked on, there were a couple older kids for each station of the carnival, and we had a bounce house, we had a relay race, we had what else did we do? Water games, we had a dunk tank, we had popcorn, we had cornhole, and we had Gaga pit. So we had all the different stations of kids, and like we had groups of kids that would go from each activity to the next. And face painting, that was huge. That was really a big hit. I think everybody got their face painted yesterday. It was a lot of fun. So it was a really fun day, and it was amazing to watch the older kids do so well at taking care of all of the activities. And I don't know, it went really well. For that many people to accomplish that much, and you know, there were a few kids that got little scrapes from playing games, or you know, a couple little complaints here and there, but for the most part, it was pretty awesome to see that many people working together to have a great day. And it was a lot of fun, and it was perfect weather. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold, and the sun was shining, and today it's kind of like sprinkling a little bit, but it was an amazing day. So I was very impressed with how everything went. I didn't really do that much personally. I kind of went around, took pictures, and supported people as they needed it, and just, you know, got water for the face painter people, and kept an eye out for kids, you know, just kind of watching around and supervising. So it was a lot of fun, and I just can't even believe how well everything went, because people planned ahead and they did a great job. It was a lot of fun. So that was yesterday, field day, kind of like the end of the year, last hurrah. And today I have a couple of exams to administer, unfortunately for them. And then we will be done, and we're going to be cleaning up our classroom and getting it ready for the summer, and then that's going to be it for the year. So happy end of the year to all my teacher friends, and I hope that you're winding things down. I know in my state, the public school has a few more weeks of school, and then they'll be wrapping it up, and I'm glad that we can finish early. I don't even know how they work it out, but they have to have so many days for the state requirements, and so we meet all of those requirements, and then we're done. So that's it for our year, for this year. So we had one of my kids graduated last week, and he is working. He has his own little business, and he does mowing lawns and stuff. Tell us your occupation. So my name is Cindy, and I am a teacher. So I am a teacher, and I teach online as well as in person, and mostly in person. Thank you, Kelly. Congratulations to Zach. Yeah. He's not really planning on going to college right now. He is just planning on being a business owner, I guess. And we'll see how that works out. And he also works for my son-in-law, who puts conveyor belts in different businesses. He works with another guy, and so my son also works with him. He did that yesterday, and they do conveyor belts and stuff like that. So that's his work, and I wanted to say something else. Oh, so I do teach in person, and I don't teach at the public school. I teach at a private school, and then I also teach online, and I work for, used to be VIP Kid, now it's called VIP Teacher, and I just started opening some slots because you can teach early morning, and you don't have to go out and, get an employer and all that stuff. So I opened some slots, and I have four slots open for Saturday, and that's going to be fun. And I have one that's level 7, so that's really awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I was just looking through the slides this morning. So it's level 7, and it's pretty good because level 7, the kids are pretty good English speakers, and it's like you're carrying on a conversation. And level 7 used to be a 50-minute class that you do, just go along for 50 minutes, but now it's, you teach part of the class, then you wait a 10-minute break, and then you teach the rest of the class. So it is still committed to 1 hour. So that's exciting. I got a level 7, I think I got a level 6 and a level 5, something like that. And they don't all fill in on Saturday night. They kind of trickle in during the week. So if any of you are interested in opening up slots, that might be something you might want to do, because it's kind of the way to go in the summer. Teach early in the morning, and then you get it out of the way, and you still have the rest of the day to do whatever you want, and you get a paycheck. So thank you, Kelly, for moderating my comments here. I don't know, interesting people kind of surf in during lives, and I haven't been having as many customers lately, but I'm thankful for those of you who are watching, keeping in touch, and especially my teacher friends. And sometimes we do also keep in touch behind the scenes, because we've really actually made friends on YouTube. And my friend Kathy that comes here sometimes, she has recommended that I would teach out school, kind of like I do VIP Teacher, because you can make more money per hour. So I'm kind of working on that, seeing how that is done. I've taught on OutSchool before. So I've taught OutSchool, I've taught knitting, I taught piano, like during 2020, I taught all kinds of things. And my favorite was doing the camps in the summer. We did, the last summer that I did the camps, I worked with 2 other teachers, and we kind of rotated. One was science, one was art, and then I was crafts with string and yarn. It was a lot of fun, and we got paid pretty good for that job. But I think that was just like a pilot program, and they didn't keep up with it, so unfortunately. But that was so much fun. I loved that. And I loved team teaching with the other teachers. That was with Rebecca and can't think of her name right now. She was a teacher, and then she kind of pivoted into another type of work. I haven't heard how she's doing. I can picture her face, can't think of the name at the moment. Jerry, yeah. So I wonder how she's doing. Have you guys heard from her? She was in art. She was an amazing artist. And I have a really good friend, Cherie Burlington, who's on YouTube. She just started within a few months, and she's doing amazing. She's doing jelly prints. And I actually went to her house and did some over April break, and I'm going to be giving away some journals today that I made with her, and I just covered the journals with the jelly prints, and they look really pretty. I got some supplies to maybe do that this summer. I want to make a few things for the Deerfield Fair, and I have a blanket that I'm crocheting that I'm almost done with that I want to bring to my new grandbaby, and I have dishcloths that I'm making, stuff like that. Thank you so much, guys. CJ is looking for support on, I don't know if it's a female or male, but CJ wants support on their channel, so check that. Thanks for coming to this video. I appreciate it. Thank you for the thumbs up, and that really helps to get some support on my video. And yeah, so I'm a teacher, and I really want to do more with the virtual teaching because that's something I feel like I can do in my retirement, because going to school cost me quite a bit of money in gas, and eventually, maybe I don't want to drive, but I can still teach, and I can still teach from home if I can do virtual teaching. So it might be a way that I can make money as I get, older and stuff like that. So it's an option. But I do like teaching in person, and I also like the schedule where we get our breaks and we get our summer off so we can plan different things. And I'm always looking for ways to make a few extra dollars, especially now, because if I want to go visit grandkids, like when we went to see my daughter who graduated from college, we had to we didn't rent the whole Airbnb. We kind of went in together with my other kids, but it's expensive, and we rented a whole house and on a lake, on Lake Hartwell it's kind of into Georgia, but it's really close to South Carolina. We rented a house on the lake with a dock. The kids went fishing, they went swimming, we made our own food there, but we paid I don't know, some ridiculous amount of food. And, hundreds of dollars to go on a trip like that. Then you need, all the supplies and stuff like that. So that kind of cleaned me up. Cleaned me out. Thanks for the thumbs up, everyone. And so, going to see all of the kids costs money. And the thing I like about virtual teaching, too, is that you can take it with you. So you're going on vacation, and you can still make a few dollars while you're away. You keep up your job, and it's not a lot of money, but it keeps things going. So those are my thoughts and my ideas, and I love the virtual teaching. The biggest thing is getting the customers, and I really like tutoring math, but my thing with that is my ideal for the summer would be to find 2 or 3 more students that I could work with. I don't want to fill up like an 8-hour day, but it's hard to find those perfect students. So while I'm in the waiting period for that, I can fill in with my ESL students. And thank you so much for coming to this video. I appreciate it. Thanks for the thumbs up. And, it's beautiful weather in New Hampshire right now. And I don't know, how is the weather where you are, Kelly? She said it was raining yesterday. Hopefully it's better today. We had a little bit of rain just a little bit ago, and it's clearing up. So it looks like clear skies for today. We'll be doing some cleaning, and like I said, we have 2 exams. I have my Algebra 1 exam, my Geometry exam. One thing I absolutely love about society right now for the teachers is online grading, because I can plug in those numbers and the computer does the averaging for me. So that is awesome. I had figured that out a few years ago when I could put, make a Excel spreadsheet, and I could put in the numbers and make the program myself and get those numbers averaged. That made so much of a world of difference, because you always know what your student's grade is, and when you plug in a number, you know how it's going to affect their grade. And I love the online grade book. We use ClassReach, and the school, I don't know how much they pay for it, but they provide it. And all of the teachers and parents have to be on this platform, so the parents can check their kids' grades at any time. The teachers can, check the grades at any time. And it averages the grades. So today, once I get all of the tests done, I can grade them, and then I can have all the numbers punched in, and I can be all done for the year. And that's it. And it's kind of interesting to look at the statistics, because once I get done, I have my 7th grade and my 5th grade all done, and I go through and I look at their final average grade, and I look at their 4th quarter grade, and they are almost exactly the same. It's been quite interesting. Usually the same student gets the same averages. Very rarely does it happen that students will go from, say they usually get 85s, all of a sudden they're getting 95s. So it's kind of interesting how the grading system works. My grades are pretty tough. I try to be pretty tough, but I have kind of lightened up over the years for my grading. I know that in the public schools they allow some, what do they call it? Can't remember the names they call it, but they allow the kids to kind of do corrections and stuff. So I've allowed some corrections, and then I'll add points to their test grades and things like that. So I try to be fair and try to work with the students so they learn the material, but then I'm not too hard on their grades. But at our school, we don't do Common Core, we do general math skills, which I believe are good for the future. And I believe that we give them a really good foundation for their math skills. And sometimes kids come in from other places and they're behind. Very rarely do we have students come in that are more advanced than what we're teaching. And when we do, if they're high school level, then we do provide them the opportunity, some kids do, on dual enrollment, or they do some type of course that is a little more advanced for them, and especially if they're independent learners. Virginia doesn't do Common Core. Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool. They didn't fall for that. I posted a video on Facebook that I watched early this morning about Common Core and how it doesn't work. And one thing that they said in there was poor people usually do worse in their schoolwork. And I'm just so tired of them equating your economic pocketbook with, how smart you are. Because, in our family, my husband was the only worker for many years. And yeah, we had a lower income, but my kids were actually smarter because they had a parent that was with them and taught them, and they were encouraged to read and do and learn and be curious, so they're actually smarter. And it's not about how much money your parents make, it's about what a priority you put on learning. That, I believe, is the key. And a lot of times people that maybe they're lower income, their parents don't put as high a priority on education or learning or those types of things. So that in that video that talked about Common Core and how it doesn't work, that mentioned something about economics and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm like, who's saying that? Because look at George Washington. Well, George Washington was wealthy, I have to say. But, you know, some of the people down through history that were really smart weren't necessarily wealthy. It was just because they put a priority on education, and they love to read, and they love to learn, and, you know, that's what made the difference. And when you have kids in school and their parents love to read, encourage them to read, those kids are going to be smarter. And it's not always about economics. Now, in our culture, people that are smart are probably going to make good money because they're smart, you know, they're going to keep trying until they make some money. But there are professions, like when I grew up, I went to a Christian high school, and I was taught by some really amazingly smart people, but they worked at a Christian school and didn't get paid much. Hamilton was poor, grew up an orphan, couldn't get educated because his mom had him out of wedlock. Oh, read everything. That's good. They don't realize how prejudiced they're being by just assuming that of every poor person, right? And sometimes you think somebody's poor, but they're actually rich because they just save their money. They just put their money in the bank. That happens a lot in where I live, because people just I don't want to spend money, so I'm just going to save it. So they look like a poor person, but they're really not. But anyway, yeah, so there's a lot of people down through history that didn't have much, but they loved to read, they loved to learn. And, you know, I had a large family, and didn't really want to homeschool personally, but I found myself in that situation. And when I looked around, even though I went to college to be a teacher, I had to realize that there were a lot of good homeschoolers, and there's a lot of good parts of it. Like, most of the kids that I met that were homeschooled were like good kids. They were respectful to their parents. Their parents took care of them. They liked to read, and so I encouraged my kids to read. They went to lots of different libraries, and we checked out. They loved libraries. My second daughter, she got to work at her library at her college. She was so excited. And then when she got there, she's like, it's so boring because you can't really read the books. You're just sitting there at a desk helping people check books in and out. But it was a lot easier than the job she was doing, because she was working with making textbooks. So it was in the what they call it, can't remember the word. It was where they would put the textbooks together, and it was a lot of lifting and stuff. So she worked at the library, and she did like that job better. But yeah, so I encouraged my kids to read. I also found lots of good resources that weren't mainstream. And we read a lot of books to our kids that were older books I used a curriculum called the Robinson curriculum, where this guy, he made a list of books that would be good for kids to read. Like, if you start with this book and you read all these books throughout your education, then you will be smart. You'll be smart enough for anything, basically. And so I actually got the CD with all the books on it and printed a lot of them out myself. I got a special printer, and I put them through, and I got the pages. You had to cut the pages in half, then you had to put the books together. You glued them together, kind of like bind them yourself. And a lot of those books were non-copyright books, because they're older, and you didn't have to have a copyright license to print them out. And so I had a lot of those books, and I have a few left. I gave quite a few of them away. But all of those books now you can get on Kindle, and you can read them out loud to your children. One series I love is the Jolly Robin series by Alfred Scott Bailey. Those are so awesome. I love them. And they are, they're personified animals in the forest, but they also have good vocabulary, good morals, and they're great books to read out loud to young people. And I found that reading out loud to kids was such a good thing, and we did that all throughout my kids' lives, you know, because we would read like in the afternoon, after lunch we would have quiet time, and I would usually read a book, parts of, you know, a few pages of a book. We'd have quiet time then, and a lot of times before bed we would do another book. And now we have a lot of virtual stuff, so you can even listen to books instead of you having to read it. But I think it's good for parents to read the books to the children themselves. And so we would have certain books that we kept reading. I read the entire Little House on the Prairie series to my kids. Lots of the Jolly Robin series books. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe books. So many books down through the years, and a lot of those are classics, and some of them people don't want to bother with today because they have all this gobbledygook science fiction junk. But the oldies are the goodies, believe it me or not, it's your choice. But I teach math, so I don't really get to read to my students, which I really kind of miss. Thank you for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be signing off. Thank you for the thumbs up. And thank you for visiting. Today is my last trip to school for this school year. Hopefully I won't have to come back tomorrow. And I'm out. I'm out for the summer. And it's new adventures await. And I hope the weather gets good. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the thumbs up. Thanks for your support on my channel. Thanks for the hearts. See all those hearts going up. Thanks. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.